magkano yung pinakamalaking utang na isettle nyo?
As far as I remember, meron pong utang 2 million, okay, and nasettle po ng 300,000.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's video, which is a little bit different because we have guests from DebtAid Consulting International na kung saan pinag-usapan natin yung mga pwede nating gawin, ano ba yung solution para mabayaran natin yung napakalaking utang natin sa credit card. I hope ay mag-enjoy kayo dito sa usapan namin. Pero bago ang lahat, invite ko muna kayo na mag-subscribe sa ating YouTube channel, youtube.com/readytoberichyt, at mag-like and follow sa ating Facebook page na facebook.com/readytoberich. And with that, simulan na natin. Hello Sir Ben and Ma'am Eunice. I'm really excited to talk to you at ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong hapon ay tungkol sa utang. But first, for the sake of our listeners and our viewers, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Okay. Hi, Fitz. I'm Ben Lu. I'm the CEO of DebtAid Consulting. It actually, yung company started in the US in 2011. And in 2012, we opened up in Canada. And then in 2018, we started in Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. Tapos, and then it dawned on me, I said, well, saan ba pinakamaraming Filipino? Because we cater sa Filipino community. Okay, sabi ko, di ba pinakamaraming Pilipino sa Pilipinas? So why are we not servicing yung Philippines? So in 2019, we started servicing sa Philippines ng debt settlement, which is dito ay ang product namin is debt mediation, which means kami ang nagni-negotiate ng utang ng tao sa mga financial institution.
So, ako naman si Eunice Lu. Sa operations ako. So, I'm helping Ben with the operations ng business. And again, like what he said, kami yung unang debt settlement company dito sa Pilipinas. So, ang goal namin is para matulungan as much as maraming Filipinos sa kanilang mga utang.
It's really interesting, no? Kasi when I read about debt settlement, debt management, most of the literature that I get to read are US-based, and they always say that you can ask for assistance or help from a debt settlement company, etc. And nisip ko, parang walang ganun sa Pilipinas. Not until you guys decided to bring DebtAid Consulting dito sa Philippines, which is a service that a lot of Filipinos really need. Because tama-tama yung pagdating niyo no, to 2019, tapos nag-pandemic. Because I really know a lot of people personally na nag-struggle pagdating sa finances nila during the pandemic.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the busiest times na experience namin sa actually worldwide do sa mga countries na nagsa-service kami was during the pandemic. One of the biggest reasons, and this is not only sa sa Philippines, it's also in the US, and mainly and this is across the board, the whole world. It's the unpreparedness or the lack of preparedness. Because a lot of people are take na yung kanilang kita for granted. Okay? And overspending or tama-tama yung spending nila na walang natitira, kaya ang nangyayari walang emergency. And like I always tell people, kung may 3 months ka na emergency, that's better than having 0.
Of course. And I think hindi naman nagkukulang yung mga financial advocates in reminding people to save up for an emergency fund. But the reality is, not everyone is capable of saving because of circumstances that are beyond their control. Minsan talaga, eksakto yung gastos sa sweldo. Minsan, yung mga family mo, nagde-depend din sa'yo. So, ang hirap makaipon dahil may mga sinusuportahan ka. But when it comes to debt or utang, siguro you've been in the Philippines for several years now. Ano yung napapansin niyo? What have you observed yung mindset ng Filipinos when it comes to debt and utang? Because one of the things that I've heard is ang mga Pinoy daw takot mag-invest, takot sila mawalan ng pera sa investment, pero hindi sila takot mangutang. If they are approved for a loan, they take out a loan even if they don't really have any use for the money. Is that accurate? Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a double-edged knife pag tiningnan mo yan, ano. May mga Filipino na pag narinig yung investment at nakita yung reward or yung return dun sa investment, okay, and merong pwedeng possibility na utangin yung pera para i-invest doon without knowing yung risks doon sa investment na yon, or without really understanding kung ano yung mga risk doon sa investments na yon, utangin yung pera para doon because ang number one dyan is sa investments is lalaruin sa'yo is yung greed mo. It's the same thing as sugal din yun so basically they're working your greed, okay, and what you are willing to do about that greed. So yung iba mas madaling umutang kaysa mag-invest na kung wala kang pang-invest, gagamitin mo yung inutang mo. Now ang napansin namin is very loose ang bangko sa sa pagbigay ng loan or ng kredito sa mga tao ngayon. Pagka may trabaho ka, you will definitely easily get a loan. Maaaring hindi yun yung credit limit na hinahanap mo, but you will get something na pwede mong gamitin. Okay. Now, pag hindi marunong gumamit ng kung ano yung utang, nagiging masama yung utang. Because magagamit sa investment. Okay. Not really knowing na yung investment na yon kung gaano kalaki yung risk. Kasi the bigger the return sa investment, mas malaki yung risk. Kaya kung mabilisan, normally ang mangyayari dyan, mabilis bumagsak or biglang taas. And then yung iba, pag nakitang tumaas, ang gagawin is lalong i-investan, imbis na mag-pull out na. Kasi kumita na that would be, kung inutang mo yung pera, that would be my best advice is kung kumita ka na, bayaran mo na yung utang mo and get out. Or invest mo yung tinubo mo, start with a smaller investment, and then yun ang pakitahin mo. Wala ka ng utang in that case. Alright. Now,
yeah, I always tell people na ang investment returns, hindi siya guaranteed. Hindi siya sigurado. Pero yung interest rate na babayaran mo sa utang mo, sigurado yun. Babayaran mo yun every month. That's why hindi siya magandang idea na umutang para i-invest. But speaking of utang, I think most of Filipinos na may problem sa utang, ang source ay credit card debt. No? So, either because talagang nangailangan sila, there was an emergency, and they didn't have emergency funds, or magastos na sila, nag-impulsive buying sila.
Yes.
Do you have any numbers or any information regarding yung relationship ng Filipinos pagdating sa credit card usage? Magastos ba talaga mga Pinoy pagdating sa paggamit ng credit card?
I think marirelate natin yan sa generation. Okay. Meron kasi yung older generation ngayon, which is nasa baby boomers. Okay, medyo mas conservative pa yung baby boomers because nandun na sila sa mga 40s to 50s na yan ang kanilang age group. Okay, and they're more conservative sa utang. The problem is sila ngayon yung faced with yung buhayin yung mga nasa ibaba nilang generation because nandun na yung anak nila, mga apo nila, di ba? Okay. Yun yung pressures nila. Okay, so kung kumukuha ng credit card yon, kung nagagamit man, it's because of, yun na nga, unpreparedness or lack of preparedness. Pagka kasi, umuutang sila or ginagamit nila yung credit card, okay, pagka ginamit nila yung card, dapat kasi alam na nila or may plano na sila kung paano babayaran yon. They are nandun sila yung mas mature eh. Okay? Dapat alam na nila kung nakalatag na kung paano nilang babayaran yon. So kung ma-disrupt yun, dapat meron silang plan B kung paano babayaran yon. Ang nangyayari kasi is yung ang umiiral is yung emergency, wala namang emergency fund, kaya magagamit yon, and then ang pagbayaran na doon mamumroblema, which leads to more problems dahil ang mangyayari ngayon is maghahanap ka na ng pantapal doon. Ayun ang nagiging problema nila. Now, with regards to sa mga bata naman, below that, yung pressure ng social media is actually a problem for them because nakikita nila sa mga pinopost ng mga ibang tao na, yung mga suot nila, I mean, they're living in a very material world. Okay? Because lahat yan nakikita nila sa social media. And everything na i-imprint or na i-implant sa isip nila, as something that I need. Okay? But it's actually a want rather than a need. Because gusto mo maging kapareho nung nakikita mo dun sa mga social media. So it's really a lot of pressure para dun sa mga But again, umaakyat yung pressure na yan because now, yung mga nandun sa taas na parents, will have to provide, or pagka yung mga bata na yon has a capacity na makakuha na ng credit, okay, nagiging trap din yon para sa kanila. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. Kaya, these people have to deal with yung problema sa credit card na yan and ang mga unsecured loans. Yun yung nagiging katapat niyan.
Yeah. So ang nangyayari is yung credit card, yun ang nagiging emergency fund.
Totoo.
Diba?
Totoo.
Without them na planning and also yung discipline about kung paano nila babayaran or i-manage yung pera nila. So unfortunately, yun ang nangyayari.
Sa tingin nyo, yung proliferation yung pagdami ng mga online loans, very accessible nakadagdag din siya sa debt problems sa mga Pinoy kasi kung hindi ka man ma-approve sa credit card, may mga websites, no? Mga online websites.
Correct.
Do you see that as also a cause of debt problems na palala
definitely. Most definitely, yeah. Actually, it compounded and magnified yung debt problem, 1,000 times. Ayun ang nangyari diyan sa mga OLA na yan. And, most or not, if not most of them, marami is not even, legal na operating. Yeah. So,
ano ibig sabihin ng OLA? Online lending?
Online app. Okay.
Lending apps. Okay.
Yeah. So, ang nangyayari is you have to download their app para makautang ka through your phone. And then, pag dinownload mo yon, you are giving them permission na ma-access na yung mga Facebook and social media accounts mo.
Yes.
Okay. So, thereby, alam na nila kung sino yung kamag-anak mo tsaka yung mga kaibigan mo. Lahat yon binigyan mo na sila ng access. Okay. Tapos, mag-a-apply ka ng loan. Let's say, umuutang ka ng 10,000 pesos. Pag binigay sa'yo, merong fee in order to get the loan. So, makukuha mo na lang, it's either 8,000 dahil kinuha na nila yung 2,000 para sa fee. So, kumita na kagad sila doon. Ang utang mo na, 10,000, pero ang nakuha mo pa lang 8,000. On the spot yun. So, day one pa lang yan. Okay? And normally, it's a 7-day loan. So, ibig sabihin, 7 days yan. Ang interest, ang babayaran mo na is either 12,000, 13,000 in 7 days.
Hindi siya na re-realize nung mga umuutang kasi minsan ang focus nila yung need nila ng pera eh. Yeah. So which is unfortunate and also there's the emphasis to really educate people regarding sa dangers ng mga high interest unsecured loans na yes, instant yung approval mo, but lalo kang magkakaroon ng financial problem if sa kanila ka uutang. And kanina na mention na yung dumadating sa point na kailangan mo ng umutang para bayaran yung isa mong utang. And I always tell people na that's the early sign na you are having debt problems. In your experience, ano pa ba yung mga early signs na may problema ka na sa utang? Kasi sometimes people don't realize it until it's really too late na talagang they're really deep into debt. But for me, I tell them, if you're thinking of applying for a loan to pay for your credit card debt, that's already an early sign of a big debt problem, and you have to really sit down and take action.
Okay, Fitz, yeah, you actually, you're correct, ano? And also, you mentioned one thing na, that is lacking. Okay, walang nagtuturo sa eskwela kung paano ka mabubuhay once ikaw ay nasa real world na tungkol sa finance. Walang ano diyan, walang klase tungkol diyan. Okay, how do you live in the real world pagka katapos mo ng kolehiyo? Okay, paano ka matututo mag-budget para sa buhay mo, sa renta, sa kuryente, walang nagtuturo nun eh. Pero tuturuan ka nila ng algebra, tuturuan ka ng calculus, okay, tuturuan ka ng biology, although pwede mong gamitin nyo para sa sex education, okay. Kung ano-ano yung tuturo sa'yo, pero yung isang yon na sigurado na gagamitin mo, walang klase para doon. Yun yung education na kailangan. Doon sa school, meron na kagad sa high school and sa college ng, yung para sa real life na finance. Aside from kung may finance na klase, hindi banking and finance. Ang kailangan mo is real life finance. Okay, so diyan nagmumula yan yung under-education ng tao tungkol sa real life finance. Now, so nangyari na nga yung mangyayari. Okay, so you lack the education. Andito ka na ngayon sa debt trap. Okay, so ngayon, umutang ka na sa credit card. Ang utang mo is sa bangko. Now, ngayon, kailangan mo nag-overextend ka na ng credit mo. Okay? Alam mo nang kailangan ka magbayad. Anong gagawin ng tao? Siyempre, maghahanap ka ng mauutangan, whether sa kapitbahay mo, yan na yung una. Okay? Or sa kamag-anak mo, or sa ibang way na makakakuha ka ng loan, which is yung sinasabi nilang online loans. Okay? Na pagka doon ka na kumuha, okay, once you start that, okay, there is almost no way out. Okay. Pag nag-umpisa ka na doon, kasi the moment na kumuha ka na ng pera para bayaran ng isang utang at inutang mo lang yon, okay, wala naman nag-iba eh. May utang ka na, nilipat mo lang ng kamay eh. Di ba? May utang ka pa rin. So ngayon, ang nangyari lang is mas malala yung kinuhanan mo ng loan para bayaran yung existing loan, na dapat mas madaling kausapin yung pinagkakautangan mo noon. Okay? So nilipat mo sa kamay ng isang kumpanya na mas mahirap kausapin, and who also has access to your social media na mga friends, mga contacts mo sa social media, na pwede kayong siraan ka and harassing ka na. Because yung credit card, they cannot do that, na ikaw ay harasin. Bawal na gawin yon. Although itong isa, bawal din, but they try to go around it para ikaw ay mapilitan magbayad. So, nanghihiya, nandun na yung, na ikaw, para mapilitan ay, kung ano-ano yung pinopost tungkol sa'yo. And so, yung nangyayari doon is, meron ka na naman puputahang ibang OLA or online loan na ang mangyayari para maitapal mo rito sa isa is utang ka na naman. Again, hindi rin naman nagbago yung sitwasyon mo. May utang ka pa rin eh. So, lumalala yung sitwasyon, and you're just digging a deeper hole. Na
dinidelay mo lang yung inevitable.
Yes. Kaya nangyayari ngayon, si Eunice ay na nakakausap niya yung mga kliyente na kung ano-ano na yung nangyayari sa sa kanilang mental. You tell him.
Another early signs of yung talagang deep ka na sa utang mo is pag yung nakakamiss ka na ng monthly payments mo, right? Hindi ka na nakakabayad, nai-stress ka na up to the point na hindi ka na makapasok sa trabaho, na-apektuhan na yung trabaho mo.
Hindi na makatulog.
Kaya hindi ka na makatulog. Yun ang mga problemang nakikita namin na minsan tumatawag sa amin na talagang depressed na, umiiyak, gusto na nilang to end their life even.
That's the worst scenario, yung dumadating na sa ganun.
Which is talagang nakakaawa, di ba? Na hindi naman kailangan dumating dun sa point na yon if marunong sila magplano and mag-handle ng kanilang mga finances.
And na-mention natin na yung tumatawag na yung lender, etc. I understand na very normal na tumawag sila para mag-collect. But we hear stories of harassment na tipong tumatawag sa opisina, yung boss yung kakausapin para ipahiya ka, etc. So, what are the common forms of harassment na kailangan malaman ng mga Pinoy na, teka, illegal na tong ginagawa nila? We have to explain. Ano ba yung difference ng normal na kinokolekta ka and harassment na? So
number one, may makikita ka na, nagyayabang sa mga posts sa hindi ka naman makukulong sa utang. Although civil yan, civil complaint. Pag kinasuhan ka, may kaso ka pa rin. Alright. Now, on the other hand naman, pagka yung collector is abusive, so meaning, once ang collector is already at the point na, kinokontak anyone other than you, para makakolekta ng pera, harassment na yon. And yan, nasa penal code yan, bawal yan, pwede, may kulong yan yung parte na yun and may civil, pwede ka rin mag-file ng civil claim against them para sa damages against sa'yo. Although nga mahirap talaga and marami nga doon sa baon sa utang baon na nga sa utang paano pa kukuha ng abogado yun para maghabol, di ba? So it becomes a cat and mouse na game kasi nga alam nila there's no way na itong tao na to maghahabol sa kanila, so pwede nilang abusuhin. So maraming forms ng harassment. So yung advertising your name, as a person who does not pay their debts, yung hindi nakakabayad ng utang at pinopost ka sa media or sa dyaryo, number one, which is hindi naman ipapublish ng dyaryo yon, although yon ay bawal pag pinablish yung iyong pangalan. Pananakot na yung threats of harm. Yan ay bawal na bawal. Ang isa pang bawal is tatakutin ka sa isang action na they cannot really take yung na yon, yung avenue na yon. Hindi nila pwedeng gawin pero sasabihin nila gagawin nila sa iyo. Oy, papakulong kita pagka dinimanda kita, staffa. Hindi imposible magkaroon ng staffa dahil unang-una wala ka namang walang post-dated check. Unless merong post-dated check na nangyari, that's the only time na pwedeng maging staffa yon. So those are the biggest tapos tinatawagan ka ng so many times in one day. Yun ay bawal. Merong timeline, I think, is 7 a.m. Doon lang pwede tumawag until 10 p.m. Pero pag lumagpas sila ng so many times a day na tumatawag, yun ay na sila. Tumatawag sila in order to annoy you. So,
what if yung mga nare-receive nila na letters from law firms? How authentic are those?
Kung yung sulat ng lawyer is really from a real lawyer, dahil yung iba ay gumagamit lang ng kung anong pangalan ng law firm which does not even exist. Again, it falls in the category of taking action that is they could not really legally take. Kasi hindi naman sila yung law firm na yun unless talagang na-assign yan ng original creditor sa collection law firm, who will then file a claim against the debtor for non-payment of debt, okay, yun yung magiging legal claim. But that is within the guidelines of the law.
So how do you know if the letter from the law firm is authentic or fake?
Well, that's, again, kailangan din educated yung tao. Pwede nilang itingnan yung ano na yun, yung law firm na yun, kung talagang nag-i-exist yung law firm na yun.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many ways na pwede mong checkin yan. Okay. Tapos, ang ilalagay nilang account number doon, mamaya hindi rin nagmamatch doon sa'yo. Then, that that's a fake na letter. Yeah. So,
how about yung may nagsabi sa akin na tumawag daw, ang sabi is, pupunta kami dyan kasama ng mga taga-barangay, kukunin namin yung mga ari-arian mo para yun na yung pambayad mo sa utang mo. Is that legal or is that harassment?
Harassment.
Yeah, that's harassment because remember, kung kumuha ka ng loan, hindi mo naman sinign over yung mga gamit mo as collateral eh. Oh. And kung ang pwede lang mag-order noon is ang judge, kung that is in lieu of payment of the debt, na kukunin yung mga gamit mo, just like a vehicle, okay, na kukunin sa'yo para pambayad ng utang mo, which means kailangan nilang i-auction yung vehicle na yun para maibayad sa mo. But that will have to come from a judge. And then ima-marshal pa yung gamit mo. And by that time, most of the time, that the person is already, in another, in another city or another province.
Yes, yes. Bottom line is, if umabot na sa point na talagang tumatawag na constantly yung mga collection agencies and you really can pay your debts anymore, ang solution is to have debt mediation. Tama ba? And that's where your company really comes in.
Yes, maraming solutions na na-offer tungkol sa debt relief. Okay, these are all part of debt relief. Okay. So isa sa part ng debt relief is yung debt consolidation, which means kung may ability ka pa na makakuha ng loan, which is you're still in good standing, nakakabayad ka ng minimum, ibig sabihin okay ka pa sa mga ibang bangko, you can take out a loan. Let's say ang total ng utang mo is 1 million. Okay? Tagti 20 million yung iba-ibang bangko na utangan mo. Pwede kang and puro mataas yun because that is a credit card. So pagka credit card, normally mataas ang interest. Okay? Naglalaro yan so up to 30+%. Okay? So pwede kang kumuha ng loan consolidation na utang. The equivalent doon, I wouldn't take more than that. Okay? Tas bayaran mo yung mga utang mo doon sa, and then
para isa na lang yung babayaran mo.
Correct. At lower interest, at lower interest. Right. Yeah. So yun yung isa sa solutions ng debt relief. Now, kung yung avenue na yon is not available to you anymore dahil ikaw ay nagmi-miss na ng mga payments, bad credit ka na, wala nang gusto magpautang sa'yo, pwede ka rin makipag-usap doon sa mga bangko na yon para bigyan ka ng either ng leeway, okay, hindi ka napatungan ng interest, okay, basta bayaran mo na lang yung natitira mong utang. Okay. Isa 'yun sa ways na ng relief na binibigay ng bangko. Although normally yan bibigyan ka ng lower interest pero babayaran mo pa rin yung buong principal ng utang mo. Okay. And then comes, debt settlement. Okay, which is ang product namin is debt mediation, equivalent to debt settlement. Okay, ang debt settlement, it comes from a legal term na settlement. From the beginning of the legal system, nagumpisa na yung settlement. It works in ways kahit sa criminal court, nagsesettle yung attorney ng court para lesser sentence, magpi-plead siya ng guilty na lesser crime. Okay, tapos he will do time, yung person will do time para doon sa lesser crime, and that is equivalent to a settlement. Now, When it comes to a civil complaint, okay, ganun din yung nangyayari. Yung attorney or yung plaintiff, okay, ay yung defendant naman mag-o-offer doon sa plaintiff, okay, or doon sa attorney ng plaintiff ng certain amount, and magmi-meet sila sa gitna, or kung ano man yung mapag-usapan nilang yung amount, where they will both walk away happy or unhappy. In other words, okay, na magmi-meet sila in the middle, yun yung ground na magwo-work sila, and kaya nagkaroon ng debt settlement or settlement in a word. Kaya diyan nagmula yung mediation namin na program, because we are the ones negotiating in behalf of the debtor.
Oh, okay. So you are the ones negotiating. You're not the ones paying, tapos kayo na lang yung babayaran na.
No. We're not a lending company. So basically, ang service namin is basically we're just doing the legwork. Na it's like someone who wants to wash their car. Okay. Pwede mong dalhin sa car wash and someone else will do the dirty work for you na maglinis ng kotse mo, or you can still do it yourself if you want to deal na ikaw
makipag-usap sa
ikaw yung maglinis ng kotse. So ikaw ngayon yung makakapag-usap sa creditor mo. Ganun ang pwedeng mangyari doon. And the problem is most of the time intimidated si debtor. You know. Kaya that's where we come in, para mawala yung intimidation na yon. Kami yung haharap dun sa sa attorney or sa sa plaintiff or sa original creditor or sa collection agency, and then we will talk to the collection agency and talk down yung utang nila, because most of the time marami nang nag-accrue na interest by that time. Okay.
That's right. So as I understand it, so for example, ako so nagkaroon ako ng utang, meron akong utang sa credit card, tapos meron din akong sa online lending na napabayaan ko for whatever reason, tapos hindi ko na siya ma-manage, no? One of the first advice that I usually give if someone asks me what they need to do is, sabi ko sa kanila, call your creditors, kasi
correct,
yung mga bangko tsaka yung mga lending companies, they want you to pay, and the worst thing that you can do is yung ini-ignore mo sila, tinatakbuhan mo sila. Wag mo na gagawin yon. But I also understand that some people, takot sila, 'di ba? Kinakabahan, hindi nila alam kung anong sasabihin ko pag kinausap ko yung bangko or pag kinausap ko yung lending company. And I think that's how great your service is, kasi instead na ako yung tatawag dun sa bangko makikipag-negotiate, I can approach you, yung DASI, and kayo yung mag-negotiate on my behalf. Tama ba?
Yeah. Correct. Yes.
So can you walk me through the process? So kunwari ako, ang dami ko ng utang. Narinig ko, nakinig siya nitong podcast or nitong napanood niya itong video na, sige, kukontakin ko si Debt Aid Consulting. So what are the steps? What will happen kapag email ko sa inyo?
So number one is, hindi lahat ng utang kaya naming handlein. For example, utang sa kapitbahay, 5-6, ganyan. We don't accept those. Okay, kailangan financial institution. So, basta legal yung OLA company, okay, we're able to negotiate that as well. Okay, so that be the case, unang first step is qualification nung utang. Okay, so then ang next step is, okay, let's check yung budget mo, okay? Kung meron kang enough surplus para ma-handle natin yung pag-ipon ng pera para dito sa sa mga pinagkakautangan mo. Because there are two types of clients. Meron ng pera, and what just wants to see kung ilang discount nang makukuha nila through us, and then tapusin na kagad. Alright. Meron din naman na wala talagang pondo and they are willing to save up funds para ma-reach natin yung point of settlement. Okay. So, once na-determine natin do sa budget na merong surplus na income o disposable na cash, yun ang gagawin natin is yung pera na yun isa-save natin para magamit yun para dun sa settlement. So, let's say may utang na 10,000. Okay. And meron siyang surplus na 1,000 every month. Okay. So, sabihin natin, okay, so ang target natin dito is 5,000 para ma-settle to. Okay. And so, you will stay in the program for 5 months. Okay. Tag 1,000 ng 1,000 yon every month. Then, on the 5th month, meron ka ng 5,000, pwede na nating i-offer to for settlement. Okay. Mm-hmm. And normally, by that time, nasa third-party collector na yan. Okay. And so, once nandiyan na, available na yung funds, magpapadala na kami ng power of attorney dun sa collector na ino-authorize kami ni client na mag-settle ng account niya para hindi siya ang diretsong collection na ng pera. Okay, so once we come in, magbibigay kami ng offer doon sa sa creditor or sa collector. Okay. And siyempre magbabalikan yan. Okay. Alright. Hindi, ganito lang yung and normally yan, siyempre ilo-lowball mo. Una. I mean, you want the client to get the benefit out of the program. Siyempre, ganun yun. Okay, so lolobol mo, tapos babalik siya. Minsan, kahit ilobol mo, pumayag na kagad eh. Okay, di
talaga?
Oh, yeah. Pag nilobol mo, pumayag eh. Then, yung kliyente magtatatalon yung sa saya. So, yun yung first na step. So, pagka ganun talaga yung is qualification ng utang, qualification ni client, and then they start the program. Pagka walang pondo, we save money para dun sa program, and then, isettle yung utang. So, kung ang utang niya is 5 of those, we have to repeat that process 5 times. Minsan, dalawa naman yung nase-settle all at once. Okay? Or magagawa nating term settlement na, yung 5,000 na settlement na yon, tagi 1,000, pinabayaran mo na, and on the 5th month, tapos ka na, then that's what we will do. Now, wag ka lang sasablay si kliyente. Kailangan talaga, pag nag-commit ka, nababayaran natin yan ng 5 times, okay, and 5 months, dapat wag kang sasablay. Wag kang magkakamali na pumunta ng Boracay, without having the money. Kasi minsan may ganyang kliyente ko nagkakamot ng ulo dahil napasama ako doon sa mga kaibigan ko, napa-Black Friday ako naubos tuloy yung pondo.
Bigla napabili ng iPhone.
Kaya discipline, and sinasabi naman namin, wag niyo na pong subukan dahil, babalik na naman yan. Okay. And
do you have do you have yung usual amount na percentage na ibabawas nyo doon sa utang? So for example, sa hypothetical question.
Yeah.
Ang utang ko originally sa credit card was 100,000. Pero inignore ko siya for 2 years. Tapos nung sinisingil ako, 300,000 na daw yung kailangan ko bayaran. Tapos nilapit ko sa inyo. More or less magkano nyo maibababa yung utang ko? Is it possible na i-ignore lahat ng interest kasi 100,000 na lang yung babayaran ko? Or you can even take it lower?
Okay. No, that's a good question. Yeah, that's actually a good question. Pag nag-enroll ka, yung utang mo is 300,000. Hindi, I mean, we cannot, tawag dito, tweak kung ano yung utang mo based doon sa gusto mong mangyari.
Okay.
Because the fact ng, ang on paper, you really owe 300,000. Okay. Pero ang target natin dyan is 40 to 60%. Ang either ang discount mo or yun yung babayaran mo. So either way, it swings either way. Pero nandun yung average mo sa 40 to 60%. Okay. But like I said, dun sa pag-negotiate mo, hindi mo naman kagad tatargetin yung 40 to 60% na discount na yun Mag-uumpisa ka muna ng offer mo ng lowball talaga. Okay. Kaya minsan meron kaming mga utang na 500,000 na settle ng 80,000, 70,000. Yes, because doon sa unang offer pa lang. Remember, the longer, ganito yung, just, and you're in finance, so you should understand this, no? Yung pera para sa bangko, parang ano yan inventaryo. No? So parang, kumbaga, meron kang bodega ng pera. Ayan yung bangko eh. Okay, kung ano lang yan, nasa bodega lang yan, mabubulok lang yan, maluluma, di ba? Okay. Ang gusto mo is mapaikot yan, di ba? So, kung yung bangko ay pinautang sa'yo, ang alam naman nila, yung inutang mo lang is 100,000 or like you said, yung example mo is, 100,000. Oh, yun lang yung utang. Okay. Then, alam mo na pwede mong tanggapin yung, 30 or 40,000 dyan sa utang na yan. And then, pag pinautang mo uli yan, in 3 months, nabawi mo na yung diferensya nung diniskwento. Nung diniskwento doon sa utang na yon. Rather than, yung pera na yon, hindi na papabalik sa bodega mo para mapautang mo uli. Di ba? Ganun yung logic na ginagamit natin dyan. So, yung pera na yon, kung hindi nakukuha ng bangko, walang silbi sa kanila. Kaya, pumapayag silang madiskwento yon para din mabigay na nila yung clearance at saka at the same time, si debt collector, okay, may commission na siya, mako-close niya yung account na yon and then they move on to the next one. But remember, kasi ibibigay yan ng bangko sa kanila. Let's say, 1,000 accounts, ibibigay sa kanila isang buwan. Lahat ito hindi makabayad, kolektahin mo. Okay, ang commission mo is 20%. Okay, ganun yung sasabihin nila sa collection agency. Alright, so ang objective nila is to close as many accounts as possible. Okay, pero bibigyan sila ng guideline ni bangko, ganito ang gusto kong returns dyan. Okay, so 30%, ang minimum na tatanggapin namin dyan. So alam na niya kagad, pagka nag-offer ka ng 30%, para close na kagad, kita na sila, tanggap na ng bangko yun, 30%.
Yeah, so in other words, parang yung bangko is willing to settle for something rather than nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, kunwari, balik tayo doon sa example. So, 100,000, ang sisingil sa akin 300,000, nilapit ko sa inyo, ninegotiate nyo, pumayag yung bangko na 100,000 na lang ang utang ko. So, ako, I can go back to the bank and just pay them 100,000? Is that how it works? Or do I pay you 300,000 and then you pay the bank 100,000?
No. So, ang iniintay natin is yung sulat ng commitment na nila. So, yun na yung settlement letter. Once nakuha na natin yung settlement letter, meron na silang commitment. Ito yung babayaran mo, 100,000. So, basically, ang utang mo is 300,000. Okay. Bayaran mo, 100,000. Okay. And kailangan na ibigay mo yan sa amin yung 100,000, ipapasa mo sa amin para kami yung magbayad sa bangko kasi kailangan namin yung proof of payment na yon. Because, I mean, I'm not trying to be demeaning or, na lack of trust kami sa kliyente. But, it happens na, hindi totoo yung binigay na resibo sa amin or something. And then, kami yung nagiging nalulus yung confidence ng kausap namin because we also try to make a relationship do sa collection agency at saka do sa creditors because of future clients or existing clients na iba. So, ang kailangan doon is okay, deposito mo yan sa account namin, we will pay it directly, tapos once we have the receipt, meron ka ng kopya ng settlement letter, may kopya ka pa nung dineposit sa kanila. Okay, hintayin mo na lang yung clearance. Sabi nila, they will send it within 30 days yung clearance.
Okay, so now that I am fully paid dun sa bangko, what happens dun sa relationship natin? Is it over or do I need to pay you fees? Siguro, in simple terms, how do you earn naman? Kasi I'm also interested. Yeah.
Okay, so yung fee ng program depends on the amount that you owe. Okay, so nagpa-fluctuate siya, depende doon sa utang mo eh. And yung degree of difficulty ng utang. Yeah. So yung fee namin, you are slowly paying that during the term of the program. So let's say nasa program ka ng 1 year, okay, and ina-estimate na natin yung fee mo at being, 20% ng utang mo. So kung 100,000, okay, ang fee mo will be 20,000. So i-divided by 12 mo yon, okay, then you will pay yung 20,000 divided by 12. So on a monthly basis para hindi bigla. Okay. And ma-afford din natin. Since ang ina-estimate natin, maiipon mo yung pera na yon within 12 months para mai-settle natin. Para at by the time na mag-settle tayo, bayad na rin yung fee mo sa amin. And then, kompleto na rin yung pondo mo para doon sa settlement. And don't worry na, Leah, let's say, ma-settle natin ng 80,000 at ang inipon mo yung 100,000, hindi naman namin kukunin yung 20,000 sa'yo dahil, sasabihin namin, may isukli mo yon, pera mo yon, that belongs to you. Yeah. Ang due lang sa amin yung fee namin.
All right. So, what if yung na-estimate is 1 year pero 3 months pa lang na-settle na siya? Do I need to continue paying for the rest of the month or tapos na siya?
You have to pay for the fee at na-settle na yung utang.
Kasi in-installment lang kasi siya, no?
Yeah. Kaya lang natin dinivide ng 12 months yung fee is because yun lang yung parang affordable nung kliyente. Okay? So kung 3 months natapos ka na, you still have to up the fee na kailangan para dun sa program. Yeah.
I see. When I think about it, it's similar dun sa analogy kanina na car wash, no? Usually kasi pupunta lang tayo sa car wash para magpalinis kapag madumi yung kotse. But this time, by enrolling in your program, it's like telling the car wash na, okay, every month pumunta ka sa bahay para linisin yung kotse and I will, parang nag-agree na kayo na I'll pay you this amount. So, it's really paying for the service, yung legwork na ginagawa ninyo.
Correct. Yeah. And, ikaw, may kasama pang harassment defense yung sa program. So, pagka ikaw ay ginulo ng talagang out of line yung collector, we will send them a cease and desist letter para ikaw ay lubayan nila, which is backed by an attorney. Yung yung cease and desist letter na yan. As long as it falls into the guidelines na talagang illegal yung ginawa sa'yo. So we need proof na pakita mo yon na, yung mga tinetext sa'yo na, pananakot, okay, we need to see that na, talagang pinadala sa'yo yon. So we have to send us a screenshot, ito yung pinadala sa'yo, okay. So isa yun sa services na nakukuha mo while you are in the program, okay. And then,
which I think is very important because kung stressed ka na nga sa utang mo tapos meron pang nangaharas sa'yo, it can affect other aspects of your life, your relationship with your family, your office mates, and even your productivity. And even if kailangan ko magbayad ng fee sa inyo, I think nababawi siya dun sa matitipid sa babayaran ko, di ba?
Correct.
Kasi,
yes.
It all adds up na yung interest rate na palaki ng palaki na out of control. At least kayo ma-negotiate nyo ng maayos being your professional negotiator. Your professional negotiators can really talk dun sa creditors. And I think that's really a big help, no? Especially dun sa mga Filipinos na hindi naman nila talaga kasalanan kung ba't sila nabaon sa utang. I can really relate dun sa mga nagkikwento sa akin, lalo na nung pandemic, na kailangan nila talagang umutang kasi ayaw nilang i-fire yung mga empleyado nila sa business. So they really took out a business loan para continuous yung salary ng mga employees sila, or talagang nagkasakit yung nanay, wala sila talagang pera. So you cannot tell them na bakit kasi hindi ka nag-iipon. That's not true, no? Kasi sometimes there are unexpected things that will happen that will bring someone into debt problems, and
correct,
sometimes it's not really their fault. So I'm really happy na nandiyan ng DASI or Debt Aid Consulting International para tumulong. And siguro kasi I think a lot of people who are listening and watching na merong debt problem are already excited to contact you, no? And,
yeah, that's good.
ayan.
Yeah.
So I can understand na siguro final questions na lang before I ask how they contact you is if there's someone listening or watching that is experiencing debt problems, what advice can you give them?
Unang-una, okay, ang debt problem or debts in general, okay, it does not discriminate. Okay, we have clients who are business owners, okay, clients who are doctors, professionals, okay, mga managers ng companies who are, in debt. And meron pa rin mga nag-enroll up to now who are still saying na, because of the pandemic. So yung problema na yon is still dwindling sa mga ibang mga kababayan natin up to this point. So ibig sabihin, nung umutang sila na ngayon, nung pandemya, hanggang ngayon, 2025 na, 3 years later, okay, ay sila ay nagbabayad pa ng utang. So how crazy is that, di ba? So yun yung the reason na isang magandang paraan ito para sila ay makawala dyan sa, I call it a web of problems na, sila ang gumawa niyan, pero nandito kami para tulungan na matigil yan. Yung butas na hinuhukay nila na yan, okay, as long as they keep digging, hindi sila humingi ng tulong, okay, ay talagang lalalim lang ng lalalim.
Yeah. So another important thing is yung may utang, right? It doesn't really define you. I mean, it's okay na may utang ka as long as you know how to manage yung mga and then how to the time na mag-seek ng help, diba? So pag dun sa program, actually pag they just have to be patient dun sa program pag nag-join sila, kasi sometimes mahaba yan 2, 3 years, 4 years. So they have to stick with the program and really trust the process.
Yeah,
kasi
hindi magic.
Yeah, hindi magic.
Wala akong magic.
Overnight, correct. Hindi overnight yung solusyon dyan.
Wala akong Shazam. Walang Shazam. Wala na. Yeah.
Kasi yung inutang nila, it took time bago nag-accumulate yan, di ba? So, ganun din yung process. It may take 2 years, 3 years. Again, depende doon sa utang nila at paano sila magbayad. Kasi yung ibang may utang, talagang minsan nagdadagdag sila para mabilis yung program
para
nila.
Bumilis, yes.
Pwede rin yun So, yun lang ang importanteng malaman ng mga tao. Na it's okay may utang, they just have to know when to seek help.
I like what you said, no, that trust the process, because pagdating din talaga sa personal finance, improving your finances, it takes time. Hindi siya
correct
instant.
Yeah.
Any get-rich-quick scheme is always a scam because you build wealth slowly but surely over time. And I'm very sure it's something that a lot of our listeners are really excited to hear. No? So how do they contact you? Saan ba yung office nyo dito sa Pilipinas? No?
So yung office namin, yung office namin nasa Pasig. Okay, sa 1 San Miguel. And they can also contact us sa website, sa Facebook, Instagram, at saka sa TikTok.
Yung website namin, they can go to www.debtaidconsulting.com. And sa Facebook is Debt Aid International. Okay, and normally if you go to our website, makikita mo na rin yung other ways to contact us. There's also phone numbers na listed doon. They can call us. Also, there are pre-qualification forms dun sa website, which is they can already do their pre-qualifications, tsaka calculator para malaman nila how much yung kanilang magiging program term, depende sa amount ng utang nila. So, they, those are all accessible do sa mga kliyente. So, before they call, they have some information kung ano yung exposure nila sa magkano yung magiging monthly nila, expectation nila tungkol sa program. But in general, okay, yung utang nila will depend on kung sino yung inuutangan nila, kanino, which banko or which collector na yung yung utang nila, kung nasa collection agency pa lang or nasa collection attorney na. Okay, may mga stages kasi yung utang eh. So after 6 months yan, matcha-charge off ng bangko, tapos pupunta kay ABC Collection or kay XYZ Collection. Pagka nagtatago ka na rin kay ABC or XYZ, pupunta na yan kay collection attorney. Okay, padadalang ka na ng legal notice na ikaw ay didemanda na nila. Pag inignore mo pa rin, ang kasunod nun ay summons na. Okay, kaya meron ding term bago umabot yan sa kaso. So the best time is to act now. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you limited to the Philippines or any Filipino around the world can avail your services? Meron bang
any Filipino around the world who ang utang nila is in the Philippines?
All right.
Ay pwede namin tulungan. Yes.
Yeah. So, even yung mga OFWs natin na umutang sa Pilipinas who are having some problems with their debt, they can definitely contact her. So, hindi lang siya exclusive sa mga nasa Pilipinas. Ang importante, yung utang nila sa Pilipinas nila inutang. Tama?
Yes, correct. At saka walang collateral. Yeah.
And walang collateral. All right. Well, I'm very sure they can just contact you to ask their other questions.
Yeah, exactly.
And siguro, final words that you want to say to our listeners and viewers.
Sa akin, ang advice ko lang sa client or final word is debt is not bad. Okay? Kasi ang utang, it finances businesses, napapalago nung iba yung negosyo pa dahil umuutang sila sa bangko. Okay? It's bad debt ang nagiging bad. Kaya, we should be responsible borrowers. Okay? But kung kayo po ay nandun na doon sa point ng no return na, umuutang na kayo para ibayad sa utang, yun po yung tinatawag kong robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay? So, time na po na mag-reach out for help. If you don't ask for my help, you need to ask someone else for help.
Maraming salamat, Sir Ben and Ma'am Eunice. Siguro ako may final question ako, na-curious lang ako. Magkano yung pinakamalaking utang na isettle nyo?
As far as I remember, meron pong utang 2 million, okay, and na-settle po ng 300,000. It took a lot of work, okay, and kasi kailangan naming i-present ang hardship, so marami pong steps in order to reach yung goal, pero pumayag po.
And that's the end of our video. I hope ay marami kayo natutunan at nakatulong lalo na sa mga may problema sa credit cards. Thank you very much sa panonood. Alam ko medyo mahaba pero tinapos nyo pa rin. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readytoberityt. Like and follow our Facebook page, facebook.com/readytobericht. Hanggang sa susunod nating video. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe.